Okay, so for these two examples, we're going to be using properties from isosceles and equilateral triangles. So this one's going to involve a little bit more problem solving, so it's going to be a little bit tougher, but I know you guys can do it. So for this first one, I want to find the value of x and y in the diagram. And here I'm really just looking for where's my equilateral, equiangular triangles, and where's my isosceles, because that's really going to help me figure out what these values are from using those properties. Right off, I notice that all three of these angles are congruent, and again, I know that from this arc mark here. And since all the angles are congruent, that automatically means all the sides are congruent. So for this triangle, all three of those sides are equal. Well, that helps me automatically find what my y value is. My y is just going to equal to 4. Now I need to figure out what this x plus 1 is, and I see it's part of this lower triangle here, and what I notice with this lower triangle is that it has two angles congruent. And so if you remember from the converse of the base angles theorem, if two angles are congruent, then the sides opposite of it are also congruent. So that means that this side is congruent to this side. Well, I already know the measure of this side from this equilateral triangle, so I already know that this is equal to 4. So that means that x plus 1 is equal to 4. And then when I subtract 1 from both sides, I get that x is equal to 3. So for these problems, you really just need to take it step by step, really look for those properties. So look for those 2 or 3 angles congruent, 2 or 3 sides congruent, because that will really be able to help you put in other measures into the triangle. Okay, now looking at this next one, I personally like to look for those equilateral triangles first, or equiangular, and I see that this triangle right here is an equilateral triangle, and I know that from these tick marks right here. Those 2 tick marks means that these 3 sides are congruent. And what I know about equilateral triangles is that all the angles inside of them are congruent. And I also know that they're all equal to 60. So that's 60, this is 60, and so that means that x is equal to 60. Now I want to find my y value, and what I notice about the triangle that y is in is that it is an isosceles triangle. And I know from the base angles theorem that the angles opposite of these sides are also congruent. So that means that this angle is congruent to this angle. But now I need to find one of these angles in there. And so you may notice, here I'm going to erase a little bit, I have a right angle right there. So I know this whole angle is 90 degrees. I know this part is 60. So now I want to figure out what that part is. Well, if the whole thing is 90, I just need to subtract 60 from that. And so that means that this angle right here is 30. And then I know from my base angles theorem, that means that this angle over here is also 30, because the angles opposite of my congruent sides are going to be equal. So now I have 2 angles of this triangle, and I want to find the third. Well, now I can just use my triangle sum theorem. So I have 30 plus 30 plus y is equal to 180. Well, 30 plus 30 is just 60. And then subtract 60 from both sides. And I get that y is equal to 120. Okay, that is it for today. If you want to look at some extra examples, those are linked below. Otherwise, you can go ahead and move on to that homework assignment. Again, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to reach out to me. Hope you guys have a great day.